79s are gutless from factory, everybody knows that. This one was fixed. We got it tuned down to Performance 4x4 in Kapalaba. They massaged it into life, made it a much more drivable car, better in fuel economy, better power, better towing, better everything. Now it's time for Andy's to get the same treatment. Back to Performance 4x4. Dale did a magnificent job the last time. This one's going a step further. He's putting top mount intercooler fans on just to keep all those temperatures in check, and let's see where we can get this one safely tuned to for way more power. All right, so mine got a solid tune. I've got the figures here from when Dale did it, and it went from 135 horsepower to 204 horsepower and 332 Newton meters to 607. And that's a safe tune. It's nowhere near what you could push these things to. I want safe because that's my forever car. Now what we're going to do with Andy's, which is very similar, but what we've done is we actually engine swapped this about 15 to 20,000 Ks ago. So we know the entire history of this engine. We didn't get it tuned at the very start because we wanted to let it bed in and get all the gremlins out of it first. Now is the time to get it tuned, and with the fans going on top of the intercooler and with it not having a DPF because it doesn't have to, because it's a 2007 model, let's see where Dale and the team can take this thing safely, a safe tune that will last for years to come on the track. All right, let's talk about what an intercooler does, because an intercooler is going to cool the engine down and then keep the engine temps a lot lower than without one. Now on the Cruiser you'll see the big scoop on the bonnet. That allows the air in to hit the top mount intercooler, which, as it says, sits on top of the engine. Now what Andy's doing with this one is he's putting two fans that go on top of that intercooler that actually replicate that air coming in, but a lot faster. So you'll get the air coming in too, but you'll also get the fans forcing the air through the intercooler, making the temps a lot lower than they would be normally. That being said, that allows us to have a good base to put a tune on, and it's a little bit more predictable, and not that you want to push it much harder, but it'll certainly keep a safe tune, even that little bit safer, because the temps will be just that bit lower. Now, the other thing we want to do when we're out here is have a look at what Andy's car is. So at the minute, he's planning to go for a lap January 28th, so about 18 months from now, a bit more, and he's in full touring mode at the minute. He's got both canopies on. He's got the rooftop tent on, he's got the awning on, he's got two fridges in there, big battery system, a couple of drawers and pantries and all that hoo-ha. So he's heavy. Two big tires, 235s hanging right off the back of the canopy, way over the drawbar, which I think he's going to fix. But nonetheless, he's heavy. And I've been driving it around the streets just now, getting this bit of camera stuff done, and it is sluggish. Like, it's a V, it'll take you where you want to go, but it compared to mine, which has been tuned, it is definitely a little bit lackluster. And I think come tomorrow, when it gets the tune put in, it will totally transform this vehicle and make it a lot nicer to drive, and especially because it's a manual. What I found in mine was when you go up, like going over the Gateway Bridge, it's a fairly steep hill. You're in second or third because there's no right gear for that hill, but with a tune in, you can sit in third or fourth and you can still accelerate up the Gateway Bridge. So I think that's what'll happen with this. It'll become just a lot more nicer to drive on the bitumen, and definitely a lot more responsive on the track, and definitely on the beach. Right, here we are, Performance 4x4 now. Getting a tune's not just about getting more horsepower, it's about working with the numbers and making sure everything's safe, which is why we leave it to the professionals like these guys. My track still going beautifully. Let's go and see Dale and get involved. All right, we are in with Dale now. Dale has tuned my car a year ago. Mate, I loved it that much. I told Andy, because he wanted a tune, he's wanted a tune for a long time. I said, mate, do not go past Dale. And I said to you earlier, I still get in my car and smile every day I drive it, and I think of you tuning it and going, this is awesome. Andy's in here, he's doing, well, his car is slightly older than mine with a new engine, but he's gone the fans on the intercooler.
He has.
You've told us that you put a temperature sensor in these so they don't run all the time?
Yep.
Yeah. Why do you do that?
Look, basically with our fan kits, we use an aftermarket controller with a temperature sensor that's in the actual airflow, so it's quite responsive. It reacts really quickly.
Right.
The factory ECU and the factory Denso system, it runs a factory intercooler or IAT sensor, air intake temp sensor.
Right.
As our air intake temperatures increase, the vehicle will naturally protect itself and derate. So, we can add a couple of fans on there, control those intercooler temps or them IATs.
Yeah.
And the lower we can keep those, the quicker we can have those recover, the longer we can hold power for and produce more power for longer. So, you get a lot of people, they'll come in and they'll complain, especially when there could be other issues and stuff with it too, but they're like, oh, by the time I get to the top of the Toowoomba range, I just feel like the car's getting a bit doughy and not going as well, and then I get to the top and I cruise along for 5 minutes and it's back to normal. I'm not sure if there's something wrong with my car. Quite often it's the intake air temperature sensor, the factory one, doing its job. So these fan kits, allow us to keep that charge air cool, hold power for longer, towing, low air speed, poor airflow through the intercooler. You think Fraser Island, 45 minutes, soft sand, slugging away, low airflow across the intercooler.
And you're not going that fast, correct?
No.
You did also notice when you took the cover off that a lot of those blades, fans were bent, so I guess that's something everybody should check probably too.
Yes, definitely, yeah. We kind of fitted a fan kit to an intercooler that's not in the best shape, but the money and the maintenance you've done on this car, I'm sure another intercooler is not a drama. You'll chase that up, you'll get that on.
We will chase that, because that was probably the only thing we didn't replace when we did the engine.
I think you made the comment before, we've probably brought it back to standard with the fan kit.
I think so. I'm glad he's done that though, and it's probably something I'll look at in the future as well for my car, because it's definitely makes an improvement. So I guess on to the tune. So how did we go? Because this is different. We spoke off camera.
Yes.
My car's a bit newer, so it's got different injectors, different fuel system, different this and that, you were saying. And he's a bit older, so he's running 35s, I was running 33s. What's the difference there?
Look, between the two cars, they kind of run up fairly similar as far as net horsepower goes and the end power. Maybe the DPF models, if we're really pushing hard, we'll get a tiny bit more out of, sometimes a little bit easier, You making 220, was it?
I think so, yeah.
On a 33?
On 33s.
Yeah, and this has just done 205 on a 35, Most people ask me what's the difference between a 33 and a 35. That's one we should come back and do one day.
We should
change a tyre on the dyno.
We should
I talk about it all, we should do that. But I normally say around 10, 15 horsepower. You know what I mean? Something like that, A lot of variables involved on a dyno as well. But, if we look at that number and we look at the tuning and the boost figures and all the rest of it, it puts us pretty close to each other. It puts us within 5, 10 horsepower of both the vehicles, what I mean?
And just the drivability I've found, and this will be the same.
Yeah.
Because we put the new gearbox in it, which has the taller 5th gear.
Yep.
And I just find going over the likes of the Gateway Bridge, you're going up a hill, you're not in between 2nd and 3rd anymore. You can sit in 3rd or 4th and 100%. Just up you go.
Yeah. People come in sometimes and ask us, should I rebuild my gearbox or whatever? We all quite often just opt for an off-the-shelf Toyota late model box.
Right.
It fixes a lot of problems all at once.
Yeah.
Plus a new box, plus the gear ratios, you know what I mean? So quite common upgrade.
Is it?
It's quite a common upgrade / repair when you might find yourself in that situation.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to seeing how good this drives now, because driving it here after getting out of mine, it's like, come on! And he's fully loaded up, because he's chucking a lap in about 18 months.
Yep.
So he's got the rooftop tent, the canopies, the fridges, the awnings, he's got all the gear in it, so he's got to get new suspension. She's sitting low, but it was a dog driving here.
That's the other thing too, you think about, Gibb River Road or in the corrugates, or just, there's so many places we experience low airspeed as well, where this is really going to help him, for that new intercooler on it. And Toyota left so much on the table with these things.
Did they?
You pick them up, I bought mine brand new, and I've been doing it for years and whatever, and even though I knew exactly what I was getting myself into, I picked my brand new one up in 2021 or whatever it was and drove it out, and I had that experience that everyone had, even though I already know and I've driven thousands. I'm like, yep, it doesn't really go that good for what it is.
Absolutely.
We can solve that quite easily. And,
and you have
exhaust, fan kit, it's got a clutch, a remap, not much else to it. What we've made 80% power and torque.
Well, have you?
An 80% gain. We can have a look.
Let's have a look at this.
Yeah. Come in around that 144 horsepower, which, this thing's had a new engine, new fuel pumps and everything in it too, so spot on. We didn't expect any dramas. They normally roll out anywhere from 140 horse to 150 horsepower standard. Yep. Tyre size affects a little bit. We'll see, 320 through to about 360 Newton meters. So this, when we did our base run, took all our data off it, made sure everything was doing what it should be doing.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Nice.
load of tune-up. We had about 4 revisions on this car. We always tweak them. We always, custom tune every car that comes here.
Yeah.
And there's always little discrepancies and little differences in it. We've come out at 205 horsepower, 590 Newton meters.
Wow.
And we're setting up for touring and a bit of weight,
Yeah.
a fan kit. So we can get some more torque out of it. Yeah, we can bring its neck a little bit more. There's no real need for what this car's been set up for. We want it safe, we want it reliable. There's a massive amount of money being invested.
Absolutely. And he doesn't want to be stuck in the nullarbor somewhere because it was just too hot. Yeah, exactly.
100%, so it's got really good. Yeah, it's equated to an 80% peak gain in torque and power. So
and will that
done really well?
I think it did help mine. Will that help with his fuel economy a little bit too?
Definitely will. Fuel economy. One of the things we did probably before you got here, we were sitting on the dyno, we were checking our tune, and we're running it through our RPM rates, fixed loads, and we're checking our fueling versus RPM versus boost versus MAF flow. We were checking, we had that nice flow. We weren't rich anywhere at light throttle loads or part throttles, and that we had good transient response and good transition for our fueling, which we did, which is one thing that really helps with sort of fuel economy. Creating drivability also helps with fuel economy. People always wonder, well, how can it be 205 horsepower now and you're putting all this extra fuel in to make power? It takes fuel to make power, but it's through drivability. We're not flogging a dead horse down the highway. We're not spending a long time at high throttle loads, struggling away at 140 and 340 horsepower. We're accelerating quickly, using a bit of fuel, backing off and cruising for a lot longer. So, you can log stuff like your fuel volume and that and start to do some logging and some really in-depth sheets and collect data. But, it does come down to that drivability, and it comes down to getting that fuel transition versus boost and drivability smooth,
Same as mine, I guess. That whole sweet spot is what, in between like 1500 to 2.5 or something?
Yeah, look, we've made really good power, really good gains from 1500, through to around 2500.
Yeah.
When we set these up, most people, if you're working hard, towing and whatever, probably that 2000 to 3000 RPM rev range.
Yes.
So that's where we ask you to drive, and we educate you a little bit when you come in, you pick them up.
Right.
That's where they're happy. That's where we got boost. They're at leanest, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Towards the top end, we're opening VNT, we're bleeding off a bit of boost, we're protecting turbochargers, we're not trying to kill stuff, If someone was towing 3 ton permanently around Australia for 2 years, we may taper the top end out a little bit more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
If we're really set up for really heavy towing. This is our general tow touring tune. We're looking to sort of maintain that 18, 19 AFR through that mid-range at 2,000-3,000 revs. That's where we're using the vehicle most of the time.
Yeah.
We might get a little puff of smoke out the bottom, poof, at 1200.
Yeah.
It's going to clean up by 1500. We're going to sit and operate in here. We're laughing,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Man, I'm excited to get it on the road. I'm excited to see what Andy thinks of it, because he's working that hard at the minute. He didn't even have the chance. He would have loved to have been here. But we'll get in the car. I'll not let him drive it if I can until I get the camera on him, because I want to get his reaction when he drives it for the first time.
Be interesting to see the difference, I suppose, between the older tin top, the older tech, and your newer tech. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I sometimes have a little bit of a soft spot for the tin tops. I don't mind them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everybody loves his dash.
That's when we started, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got
Such a cool car. And I think when he put the visor on with the dash, it all kind of, it's that whole retro look now, isn't it? Yeah, it's cool.
Looks good. But no, other than that, clean bill of health. You've done all the maintenance, you've done the repairs and the work. We didn't expect to find any problems, and they paid dividends. So,
mate, thank you very much. Tune number 3. Couldn't be
I
happier.
forgot about the Hilux.
The Hilux,
the old GD.
That's why I came back after the next time. Yeah, if you want to tune, or you're thinking about a tune, you want to go somewhere that's going to look after you and make sure your car's looked after. Performance 4x4 in Capalaba. Come and talk to Dale.
Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate the repeat work.
Love it.
Love doing this stuff with you. It's good.
Thank you, mate.
Notice the difference like straight away, like as soon as you put your pedal through. When like before the tune, there'd almost be like a bit of a lag, but now it's like it's like straight away, and there's just so much power behind it. Like, been driving it for a couple of days now. I picked it up last week, and even just driving around town, like there's a hill just near my joint where I'd usually have to go from 4th to 3rd. Like I'm usually just cruising up in 4th now without any dramas at all. So it's it's definitely been worthwhile investment, I'll tell you that much. Even like, because I got the new gearbox in when I did the engine swap, even just going through the gears now is just much more smooth. I don't know what it is, but it just feels a lot more smoother. So, and especially, every comfort matters in the 79. So, especially if you got a 79 or any other car, definitely recommend going down to Performance 4x4 down in Capalaba there, because I honestly can't fault it whatsoever. I did an absolutely cracking job. So Yeah, cheers boys.
All right, that's the tune done. Now, it's a very safe tune set up for Andy touring Australia and doing everything he wants to do. There's still massive amounts of power gain there, 80% I think Dale said when we were in the dyno, which just makes it such a nicer car to be in. It makes it better in fuel economy, it's very reliable, the intercooler fans keep the temperature down, everything's just working beautifully. So if you want to tune your 79 or any other car, don't go past the boys here at Performance 4x4. They will absolutely look after you. That's my third tune that we've got done. Couldn't speak more highly of them. In Capalaba, jump online and have a look.